Convo. Welcome back to Candid Conversations with Carmen. I'm your host, Carmen, and this is my side host,
Ashley.
and our wonderful producer, T Nugget.
T Nugget.
I'm off camera today.
Yeah, he's off camera today. How he wants it to always be, seems like. But anyway, on today's episode, episode 2, season 6. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
We are going to be talking about, I don't know what we're going to be talking about. Ashley has a topic she wanted to bring up. Troy has some stuff he kind of said we may or may discuss. I don't know. And I'm feeling a little bit wobbly. Not knowing.
I think like last season, we really had clarity on where we were going with the season.
Yes.
And this season, me and Troy were talking about it prior to getting started, was how this season felt like a push. Like we haven't really we said topics, we said what we wanted to talk about, but it wasn't really fleshed out. But it wasn't even like we couldn't flesh it out. It was like things kept popping up and all those different things, and it just put into mind, and I was like, I feel like this is almost a test because of how hard it has been, and then like the numbers and all the things that we don't worry about anyway have been lower than they were, and they weren't just so super high in the first place.
When your mom was buying your CD and that's it.
Exactly. And so I was like, it seemed like a test of if we will be committed to stay in it, and then to work through whatever this is. That it's like when you're running and you just going and going, and it's like you hit that point where you're at that slowdown, and you can't get, you're waiting for that burst of energy that supposedly comes, and then you can get that push to keep going. And I feel like that's here. It's like, are you really committed to this thing? Because if you are, and you can push through whatever this may be, on the other side of it is something greater, whether it be within this or in something else. It shows consistency and stamina and going forth in that. And so it really kind of played into where I've been this entire year, which is doing hard things past making the commitment.
Okay. So you're saying you have made a commitment to do something.
Yes.
And then once you get into it and you have those days where you're like, I'm going to relax, or I'm going to take off today, pushing past and doing it anyway.
Pushing past doing it anyway.
Okay.
And also, like, I like to be good at things. And so what I'm in a process of, in pretty much everywhere that I'm at, is learning something new or gaining knowledge that has to be critiqued, or to go back and revise and get better, and all those different things, and push past my limits into everything. So just right off the top, I challenged myself to do the 75 hard, which one of my friends did last year, and she was very blessed by it. And it has really transformed the way that she does things, and made her a lot more disciplined and consistent in areas of her life. And so I was like, that's something that I know for me is something that I need, is to be consistent across the board. And it's helping me with, like, even my cleaning the house, washing my clothes, getting everything. It may bubble up, but it's like, I know that I have to do it. And so I sit down and I actively say, I'm going in and I'm doing this. I'm getting it done. And then within the 75 hard, like, every day you have to do certain tasks, and those have to be completed. And if they aren't completed, then you start over from day one, or you can just not do it anymore. But you haven't succeeded in doing the 75 hard. And so in doing that, and being consistent, and having to do, is past the, I'm just doing it to do it. So, like, you have to do a workout outside. No matter what. There's no off days. There's no cheat days. There's no anything in this whole thing. And so for me, being tired, being like, I feel pain in my leg, or I feel pain in my arm, my head hurts.
Yeah.
It's pushing past those things and going into it. And I think it's also almost congruent with my relationship with God. Because in the past, I would get to a certain point and not push.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, okay, well, I don't really feel like God is speaking to me. So I'm just going to stop praying for right now and just get up. But now it's like, no, I want to push past into this. And God is requiring more of me. So it's like more time spent reading his word, delving into it. And he asked me to do something. He told me to do something in just like, to be able to know him better, I have to become a student of his word. And that is like, and I was like, how do I become a student of the word? I just read it. I'm reading it. But it was like, he literally told me, it's like, just like you study for school, and just like you read for school, and the notes that you take for school, and the research that you do for school, do that for me.
Yeah.
And so that's been something that's been interesting, is becoming a student of the word, reading and doing history and just finding, and in that he's leading me to different resources and everything to be able to do it. But a lot of days I'm like, I don't want to. I don't feel it. And then on top of that, it's real life.
Right.
So it's not just, oh, I'm doing this and these are the only things that I have to do. I still have to go to work. I'm still in school, so I have to do my schoolwork. Life is happening. Like, different situations are happening.
Right.
And it's all about just doing it past making the commitment. And I'm really learning that in order for something to be, you to be disciplined and consistent in it, you have to do it past just making the commitment and then saying,
then falling off. After saying, oh no, I was gonna do it, and then you just.
What about you? Have you been finding some things that you have told yourself that you're gonna do, and then it's hard, like it's not easy?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that I said, okay, I want to do this consistently every day or whatever, and when it gets late and you haven't done the thing that you were supposed to do, you're like, well, I just kind of feel like going to bed, resting my eyes a little bit. That has happened to me a couple of times with some of the things on my list. But I think, and I'm like, okay, I want to stick with what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
I want to be truthful to myself.
Yes.
Like, I want to not just, because a lot of times when you make a commitment, you do it privately. So it's like, I'm going to do this, and it's like only a deal between you and God, but you're holding you accountable.
Yeah.
And so you can be like, well, I'm just gonna, and you make last minute caveats, or you make slight adjustments. And then you're like, oh, okay, today I'm just gonna rest. The Lord knows the way my body's feeling. I'm just gonna rest. And so it's just like, yeah, you can rest. Because, I mean, you can do whatever, but if you want to actually do what you said you were going to do and be honest with yourself, like, you telling yourself the truth matters as much as telling other people the truth.
Yeah.
So I think I've just been trying to, for the things that I've said, like, honestly, like, if you forget, like, hey, but if you really remember and you're supposed to be doing it and you don't, then you have to hold yourself accountable.
Do you find that, like, now that you've been doing this, like, it's been 34 days in the year, this year,
okay.
but however long that you've been doing it, have you found yourself to be more honest with yourself in other areas of being able to say, you know what, I have been slacking, or you know what, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. No, you're not gonna do that. You're that kind of stuff.
I feel like I, for the most part, have been like that anyway. Like, I would be like, me, when I was younger, I will say, when I was younger, I used to be like, okay, you know what? I've got to set some boundaries for myself. Like, I've been getting a little out of hand with the TV watching, and I mean young, or whatever it was. So I'll put myself on, like, restrictions as I saw fit. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I did. And so now I think I don't think it's necessarily making me be more honest with myself, because I could acknowledge, like, okay, this is becoming a problem, or, oh, I'm doing this too much, or maybe I need to dial this back. Like, I feel like I could always do that. Like, my internal meter was always there. But I think it's a matter of acknowledging and then actually taking action. And I think for me, it's more so like resetting to how, like, I had a lot of good discipline and a lot of good practices, like, innately in a lot of things. And I think I got away from that because of just life situations. And you know, you go through some things change, the way your heart is shifts. And so you're like, okay. And now I think I'm essentially trying to work back to
where you were.
Not necessarily where I was.
Better.
Where I was, but from the right heart posture, I think is what it is.
So what you're saying is that you are creating boundaries for yourself, but now the boundaries are not based out of bitterness or hurt or anything like that. It's just that of progress.
It wasn't necessarily that it was based in bitterness and hurt before, but I think I was more so like, I did a lot of things in life in general out of obligation. Like, I would be like, obligation to who I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell you. But out of a sense of like, okay, I should be doing this and I should be getting it on track. Now it's like, okay, yeah, this could be better, but why? Like, I should do this because I want to steward what the Lord has given me well. Like, I should do this because I want to be able to bear good fruit. I should do this because I want to be an example of who God is in the world. So my life should mirror that. So if I'm making choices and putting restrictions in place, or practicing certain disciplines, it is trying to understand why I'm doing it. If it's, okay, I want to go to the gym or work out or go to the park or whatever, am I doing that because I say, okay, I want to be healthier because this is the body that the Lord gave me and I want to be a good steward of that? Or am I doing it because I'm like, oh, well, I've got to get my body right because, you know, that's the expectation. I got to look snatched. I shouldn't look like this. It's just a shame. And for some people, that's the motivation they need to get up and go. But again, examining why I'm doing what I'm doing and making sure or wanting it to be for the right reasons, again, so that my heart is in the right place. Because when you do that, you can put in for something, like, inputs create outputs. So you can put in the work to get whatever it is you want out of it. And you can get what it was that you wanted. But when you receive the fruit of your labor, it's less sweet if you didn't do it the right way. And so that's why I want to do things the right way for the right reasons.
Yes. And you know, I think that comes along with, like, what you were saying, like, when you brought up the gym, it made me think about the health journey that I'm on right now. And like, I would not have ever been one to say, oh, I just struggle with my weight or anything like that. But I have seen in the past few years where things have changed, and I saw, like, some of the root causes of those different things. And I've seen, like, negative thought patterns that have crept up, or things that I witness and in other people
Internalize.
And internalize, or things that were said to me that I didn't necessarily act like maybe hurt me, but did, but that contributed to it. And then also, like, not knowing how to start. Like, sometimes I think that when you are getting ready to do something, you don't always know how to do it. You're like, okay, I can run and I can go to the gym. But as I've been learning and as I've been doing different things, I got a trainer. Like, I knew for myself, that was something I had always been saying I wanted, was a trainer. And then the Lord was like, why aren't you getting one? You're talking about it, but you're not doing it. And so I got a trainer. And my first trainer, she was really good in, like, she got me started and got me in a place. I was already in the gym, but she got me started in lifting and building my weight up. And then she was not able to continue, and I got a new trainer. And what I realized was that there was a foundational setting that needed to be met before I could even go to a place from where the other girl started me off at. And so it was like a breaking down, because, like, of course, I felt inadequate when I first went into the gym with my first trainer because I didn't know how my weightlifting. I was at 5 pounds, 10 pounds, everything. And so, but it was like, it's progression. That's what you're there for. Yeah. It's to get to the point where you maxing out your weight is at the starting point. You get to that place and you're like, it's too light. So you go to the next and you go to the next.
Just
but
improve your personal best.
And personal. But I realized that a lot of times in life, I had not been doing that. Like I would get to a place where it would plateau and I either sit there and rest there at the point of at the point of the plateau, or I would say, this is not easy. I'm not good at this. I'll keep doing it, but I'm not going to put forth my full effort into it so that nobody can say, oh, you're not good enough. Because I'll be like, oh, I haven't done my best. And so now Brian, my new trainer, has opened up a new way because he does things in different ways. It's not just weights. A lot of it is body weight. Or if we do use weights, it's like medicine balls and slam balls and all these different things. And the way he does the exercises is built off of, I had an accident.
Yeah.
A few years back, and that changed the way that I did things. It made me less mobile. It made me less flexible, all those different things. And so he was like, he saw that and he recognized that. And I knew it was the Lord giving me that opportunity to have him because he's also a physical therapist. Yeah. So he said, I see this when you came in. I see the way that you walk. I see the way that you favor this. So we're going to work on strengthening your glutes. We're going to strengthen on your hamstring. We're going to, so that the pressure is off of these areas. Yeah. Build up your core, so then we can go to the weights and the lifting and all those different things. And because if those aren't right, you'll be hurt. You won't
see the results.
You won't see the results. You may see results, but it's wrong. And and in the end, the end product, even if you get how you look, it may damage more than it fixes. Mm-hmm. And so what God has been showing me is that in consistency and in starting something, you have to build a right foundation for it. Because if you don't have the right foundation, you may get the end result that you want, but it could be damaging and it may not be sturdy and it may not be sustainable. So now I know how to eat. I know how to work out. I know how to track. And now it's on me to continue that. That's nobody else's. So if I go back to how I was, that's on me. It's not on anybody else, because I have built a foundation that is firm for me, and now I can move forward. And so he's also showing me, even in my walk with him, is that my foundation has to be built on him securely, in me knowing what I know. Yeah, I have to know the word for myself. I like knowledge, so I need to go and look at the history, and I need to look at where everything
and
is.
You know me, I be like, what does the Bible say? And you be like, no, in 19 BC.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
And so in that, it's building that foundation, but it's for me to be the better person that I want. And I believe that overall, that if we push through, and if I push through, and when I get to the other side, the blessings and what God has for me will make the hard things easy. But that means that there are going to be more hard things that I'm going to have to start over and start building a foundation to build up on, if that makes sense.
So, I mean, I think it makes sense to me, but I just want to kind of say it back to you. Mm-hmm. So when you're saying make the hard things easy things, it's really that you've essentially mastered the things that were a challenge. Yes. And so then obviously once you are successful in one area, then again, instead of just becoming complacent, you move forward and you advance, meaning that a new challenge will arise.
A new challenge, because life is like that. Like, you think you have everything together. Life is great.
You're like, it's perfect.
And then it's like, boom, something unexpected may occur. Or a life change happens, and now you
or even if it doesn't, I feel like it's human nature that once everything is like however it is, you be like, well, what's next? Like, even if maybe not everybody is like that, but I know for me, I'll be like, well, this is nice. And you think this is what I wanted. This is everything I worked for. This is everything I wanted to see in my life. Yeah. And then you're like, what's next?
But I think and that was one of the things even for me, and I don't want to talk so much, but
you're fine.
One of the things for me when I was in getting my master's, I worked so hard to get my master's degree. And when I got it and I went to graduation, I walked across the stage and I was like, is this it? And so I had to almost make myself be like, I'm so joyful and happy about this. But really, I felt like, wow, I got this. Now, what does this mean? What does it do for me? How does it make my life better? Where's the joy and excitement that I thought I would get for it? I had more joy in the anticipation of this thing than the actual thing. Yeah. And I realized that it was because my energy and my focus was on the future. Yeah. I had already experienced all of the emotions and all of the joy and all of that in the future in my mind, so that when it actually occurred, there was nothing else left for it, because I hadn't thought about what the present would be like.
And I feel like it can be easy to do that, like to kind of get lost in the sauce and you be like, oh, I'm thinking about where I'm gonna be at, and then you don't really savor the present moments. And I mean, I don't think it's bad to want more, like to be striving towards the next thing or excellence or improvement and growth, expansion. I don't think that's wrong, but I do think it is important to be, again, a lot of times to slow yourself down, because a lot of times we don't like where we are in our present state. And so then, like, I'll just think about my life. Like, I'll be like, man, I've had jobs that I really was not a huge fan of. I worked places I was like, whatever. And in those places, the Lord sustained me. And he really did a lot of things in those different seasons, as per usual. And so I was thinking back on some of those times. Ooh, bless thee. I was thinking back on some of those times, and I was just really thinking about, like, I had a good time during that part of my life, or I was like so wanting to be out of that. And then it was like, when I think back on it, it was like, yes, it was hard. I don't want to downplay how it was. And it had times where I felt, oh my gosh. But overarchingly, it was like, there were good pockets within that. And then, and those were the things that sustained me and carried me on throughout those times and those seasons. But to be present in the moment and to just think about, because what the Lord was showing me, I not to pivot so much, but I had woken up one morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I got so much stuff to do. And the Lord was just like, he just like really showed me, like, there's like a very, very heavy ungratefulness that you're exhibiting right now. And I was like, oh, okay. And then when I really had to think about where I was in that present moment, because my focus was not on okay, Lord, you not only have you woken me up this morning, but you're meeting my needs. You're consistently showing up for me. You're showing me that you care about the little things, not just the major stuff, because you do care about that stuff too. But it's like, man, I really hope I get that parking spot at Kroger. Like, it's the small things that it's like he cares about that. And so when he was showing me that, and I was just like, oh Lord, like, forgive me. Like, I really haven't been having the heart of gratitude that I should have been having, because I'm just thinking about my days. And so it was like recentering me and regrounding me to be in the moment, because I'll be thinking, okay, this is terrible and this is how I want it to be. So I'm just going to focus on the future that I'm expecting for myself, or the future that I want to have, instead of being like, right in this present moment, yes, things are happening, but there are good things that are also happening at the same time. And I am doing myself a disservice, and I'm operating in a way that's ungrateful to what the Lord is presently doing within my life and within me, by not acknowledging that right now, here in today, you gave me the opportunity to interact with these people. You gave me the opportunity to sit at this desk. You gave me the opportunity to go to this place and do these things and have these conversations, regardless if they're comfortable for me or not. I can have a conversation.
Yeah.
I can walk around. Like, I can hop in my car and drive somewhere. A lot of times you be in bondage to your job. I could quit the job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in bondage to what I do or where I work or where I am or anybody. And so to be able to be at that place, that merits gratitude. And I wasn't doing that. And so I think to be forward thinking is not a bad thing. But I think when you think so much about the future and how you want your life to be and how you want your circumstances to be, that you miss the God holding you up right now. You miss he's walking right beside you now, the community, the unity of him being with you. That it can be a bad thing if you don't stay present in the moment that you're in the day that you're in, like each day being that day.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've been learning is how to be present. And it really came into focus. I was on a missions trip in Honduras last year, and we had devotionals every morning. And one of the guys led, and that was the topic of his devotion, was being present in today and making sure that you appreciate all the moments that God gives you. And I think we were talking about this earlier this week, is that we sometimes get so like focused on the future that we don't really think about how tomorrow isn't promised. And so it's like, you like this, and this, I'm going to do this, and I want to do this, or I'm going to wait to do this because I want to do it, well, I want you to be there with me and you can't be there. Or I think this trip is something that I would really enjoy, but you know what? I'm not going to take it because for whatever reason. Now, of course, God has called us to be good stewards of what he has given us.
Right.
But at the same time, life is fleeting and you only have one and you don't know. And that was put into perspective for me this week, just by loss of life in other people. But then at the same time, God was showing me that if somebody is a believer and they lose their life, then they really didn't lose it. We just lost them. They gained everything. And so that has been really a big thing, is just making sure that I'm present in the day and making sure that I understand that God has only given us today. Yeah. Really. And then we just are trusting and believing that we'll make it into the next one.
Well said. No, I was honestly thinking that too, because you really do plan. Like you were saying, you're like, when I get my master's. Like, if you think, like, I mean, if you really took every day and you thought of it as, if this is my last day, that doesn't mean go out and blow all of your money. That doesn't mean go out and do things that are reckless. And if this is the last one, I'm jumping out the plane, unless you want to skydive.
I've done it.
Yes, you have. But anyway, if you thought of it that way and you said, because we wait to do things, like, you always think, oh, I'm going to get my life right tomorrow, is what a lot of people will say. Or I'm going to get aligned with the Lord tomorrow. Like, you assume that tomorrow morning is going to come.
But it's on a smaller scale. I know everybody has done this, where you have gotten an outfit and you saw it at the store and you were like, this outfit is great. I'm going to save it for a special occasion or whenever I want to get it. Yeah. And two things have happened. Either you never wore it and then you were like, you know what? The time has passed on this. I want to give it away. Or you put it on at this time that you have thought about it and you've been dreamed about it, and like, this is going to be the best outfit. When I come out, I'm going to be stepping out. And it's going to be
styles change.
And you're like, when you put it on, it's like the shirt doesn't hang
quite right.
It doesn't hang right. Did I lose or did it shrink? did it, or the pants are just, they fit so odd.
Yeah.
Like
the cut of these is not what I thought.
And in that moment, you're like, it's ruined. Like in your mind, you might not say that, but you're like, my whole plan is ruined. And you just take it off and you have to pivot and go to somewhere else. I think it's the same thing, is that you have these plans in your mind of how things are supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Because when you think about the future, you think of it, or at least I do. I have the full picture of how it's going to be. Yeah. And I laugh and I do
You
things.
think of the future in a way that I don't think I've ever met somebody else who sees the future as like vibrantly as you do. Like you fill in all the holes. For me, the future is like has gaps, and there are certain elements that I want to happen, but then there's parts of it that I'm like, well, that obviously I can't control. So that can be different. Like you're like, nope. And then we walked into the house, and then I'm like, how did you see all of that? I mean, that doesn't mean that's bad. You have vision. Yeah, you have vision for your life and for your future. I don't think that's bad. But sorry to digress and knock you off topic. Continue.
No, that's it. But I'm learning that it also comes. Those things, those are gifts, I think, from God, that he allows you to be able to see, or to be able to have the imagination to think past what may be the ordinary. So if other people think like this, I feel like my thinking in a lot of ways can be kind of divergent from how you may think of something, hence going, down to the store.
Oh gosh,
not up to the store.
We won't even get on that.
But my thought patterns are divergent from that. So I have to be okay with that. But I think the Lord is also showing me how to temper that. Like sometimes vision is just a dream, and then sometimes it is something that you should action and actually make happen and to do it. And so I've been having to learn, and then not allowing fear to stop me from singing it, and then saying, you know what, that's just too big, or that's just not realistic. But the thing is, I realize as I speak it and I say, you know what, I believe that this is what is for me. This is what I know who God has made me to be, and I know the things that I can go into, and I know the things that, and he's promised me these things, and I believe that they will happen, and they may be super grand, and they may be super over the top. Yeah. And but what I'm learning too is that he may have promised me those things, but it may not come the way I think it will be. And so that is where I'm having to let go of the future thoughts of how I think it is going to be. Yeah. And maneuver it into, God, I'll let you do your work, and then focus on what I'm doing today. Be excellent in today.
Yes. Yeah.
Be excellent
in
that
today. Present state.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I think this was a good episode. I think it was a good conversation. We were kind of jumping around a little bit, but I think it was good things we said per our usual format of everywhere. I don't have anything else to add. Did you?
No.
Have you been feeling like I have been feeling like this more?
For you?
Yes.
Like on a even keel?
Yeah, like just like
blah.
Because I'd be like, what? Right? I just feel like lately I have just been like,
it's
more
so. But
let me mine.
But I think that's for me too. Like I feel like I've been calming down a little bit, like, and then
I feel like opposite,
and I've been taking more instruction from other people. Like even like when a situation that happened earlier this week where you were like, just be quiet, don't say anything, and let it play out. Let the situation play out. You don't have to say anything. You know what you need to say, or what you think should be said. But
right.
Just be quiet. And I think that has been a thing too, is that God has been keeping me quiet. Yeah. And like not talking about everything, not going into every situation. Yeah. Wanting to divulge everything, or every little step, or every minute detail. And I think that has been growing for me. But yes, you have been here. And like blah, like
yes, I'm like,
but I also feel like that's because, but I also feel like that is growth or maturity, but I also think you might want to look and make sure that you are just examining whether or not you're really happy with the state of where
I'm not unhappy. That's the thing. It's not like I feel like bummed out about my life or anything like that.
No,
I'm just like,
or maybe you should be doing more.
And I've already, talked to you about certain things, but I'm just like, am I giving off bland? Am I feeling am I giving salt and pepper? No additional seasoning, no onion powder, no, no paprika, just a little bland.
No, for me, I don't see it that way. I just see it as transformation and changing. And I think that as you have been going through and doing all these different things, that's what it is that you are changing into, and I think you'll just go through different metamorphoses.
I mean, yes, it really is life.
Yeah, but metamorphosis,
seasons.
I think it's metamorphosis, and yeah, I think you're growing.
Yes, I'm growing, guys.
But I think it's also that you are you're learning how to take your hand off of things, not try to control things so much. And I think that's where it's keeping you here, because you have to be cognizant of what the Lord is telling you to do so that you won't, because you like to control stuff and control people.
That's true.
And everything.
And it's because I am frequently correct.
Other people are correct too.
Yes, and I get that. But sometimes I'm correct a lot.
But in that, you still, even though you may be correct a lot.
Yeah, I think there are certain areas where I'm just like, nothing about this makes sense. Mm-hmm. And normally I will be like, let me get in there and get it together. But
you've been taking your hands off of it.
I'm just like, I don't even want it. Yeah, I'm like, let the Lord handle you. I don't know. I feel like I've said that more in the past month.
Yes.
In January, I feel like I was like, you know what? Just let the Lord handle it. I feel like I've said that more than I probably have ever had, because I'm just like, I don't feel like caring about this that way.
Yes.
So
because you would take ownership of other people's things. And even in your own stuff, in certain situations, you would take ownership of it, and then you would be like, I have to make or maneuver or do to make this happen. I can throw money at it, or I can throw time at it, or I can throw my know-how of doing how to do it. And then now you're just like, no, I'm good. The Lord will handle you. The Lord will handle this situation. I will trust him. I'll do the things that I have to do just to keep where I'm standing. But the things outside of my locus of control, I'm going to be happy and was content in where I am. Mm-hmm. But yes, you have been given this. And some of the things you say have been very I'd be like, what is wrong with you? But then when I think, I'll be like, okay, all right, do what you do.
I'd be like, this needs to be improved, but whatever. This is not for me to say. We're not going to keep getting on a tangent.
Yeah.
I know we tied you guys up for too long. Thank you everyone for watching today's episode. We will see you in the next one.
See y'all later. Bye.
Oh, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Candid Convo.
Welcome to the show.
Candid Convo.
Welcome to the show.